Good morning, guys. I wanted to come and just talk a minute while I had it fresh in my brain. Yesterday was a horrible day at work. If you don't know, I said in one of my earlier vlogs that I was a patient safety assistant, and what that consists of is me sitting with suicidal patients or patients who need just help, like for safety purposes. And my job can be challenging at times. It just depends. Yesterday was a challenging day. The day made me want to say, forget this job, I quit. But of course, life, bills, you can't do that. I was with a patient, he had Alzheimer's, and I sat with him before, but yesterday he was different. The first time I sat with him, he was confused, but yesterday he was extremely confused. He was frustrated. He was just over it and was ready to be discharged and ready to go home and get back to his life as he knew. So I relieved the PSA that was there before me, and I noticed when I relieved him, he was real irritated. He had me, we have to give handoff sheets. He gave me the handoff sheet and he said, this guy doesn't know what he talking about. He left. I say, okay, because I knew him, and he was relatively pleasant the first time, regardless of him being confused. So I goes in there, and I, spoke. He spoke, and then he started saying little different things that I know weren't true, like he wanted to walk to the store. They said he could walk to the store, just different stuff. And when I was there, the tech had came in and took his blood pressure, vitals, what have you. And after the tech left, it just seemed like he got even more irritated. He asked me, do you think he stole my money? And I said, of course not. He didn't steal anything. And from there, it just went left. He was just extremely irritated, kept trying to leave out the room. Might I add, I did not even say I had to watch two patients. So I was watching him and the patient in the next bed. And it was like overwhelming from jump. But him being so amped up and wanting to leave and trying to walk out the room made it even worse. So I kept trying to tell him, no one's outside. He kept saying someone was bringing him money. I said, no one's finna bring you no money. Just calm down, relax, have a seat. He got to the point where he wasn't calming down. He wasn't relaxed. He was just irritated with me. He wanted me to stop telling him what to do. He just wanted me to stop talking and let him do what he wanted to do. Awkward situation for me. So I called his nurse, because that's what we're supposed to do. Because we're not no nurse, we're not a doctor, we're not even security. We're just there to make sure the patient don't hurt themselves, don't harm themselves, and if that happens, we're supposed to notify someone. We can't restrain nobody, put our hands on nobody, nothing of that sort. And yesterday, I'm so irritated because I felt like the doctors, the nurses failed. This man kept trying to leave out the room, and it's not his fault because he has Alzheimer's, but they literally ignored us. I kept telling them all they wanted me to do was chase the man around the floor, make sure he don't hurt himself while watching another patient. And this is what makes it very uncomfortable to work at your job, when you have people, and it's like they was disregarding that he was walking around, he was cussing, he was being very combative. And his nurse, he didn't care. I would ask him, so he could just walk around, it's okay for him to do that? Oh, it's okay. As long as he's not doing nothing to no one. Okay, so I literally got to walk around with this patient while watching the patient in my room. And I said this to the nurse. He just acted like I ain't even said nothing. He kept doing what he was doing. And it's like, no one will help me. I say something to the tech. Could you come? I asked the tech that was in the hall now. Could you come here for a minute? Oh, I'm going to this room. The man was taking his clothes off. I kept telling him to put his clothes back on. I see you can understand it. It was a very stressful day. So I said, let me call my supervisor. I call my supervisor. She comes up. And this is what she does. She sit there a minute and just talk to him the same exact thing that I was doing. Same thing. Well, Mr. So-and-so, you can't do this. You can't do that. And he sit there a minute, of course. But he goes right back to doing all the stuff that he was doing. And then she left. He starts right back doing everything else. Then the nurse, the patient next to him was getting discharged. So I only had him at this point. And what's so irritating is he went out the room, of course with me following him, and the nurse just told him put on a mask. But when I first got there, y'all said, don't let him walk around. So now he can walk around, but give him a mask. So they give him a mask. He's walking around, and he tell me, well, he asked me, how can I get out of here? And I said, sir, I can't tell you how to get out of here. You're a patient. I ain't no patient. You may be a patient, but I ain't no patient. He was getting upset. He got escalated and escalated and escalated with me. No one done nothing. He sat in the hall outside another patient's room. Asked his nurse, so it's okay for him to sit right here? Yeah, as long as he's not doing anything. All they cared about was getting this gentleman off their floor to the psych ward, because that's where he was going, regardless of what he done in the hallway. Just don't bother them. Let them sit there and talk about what they did yesterday, about their families, and put all this stress and strain on me, someone who's not security, not a nurse, not a doctor, not even a tech. Y'all put all this strain on me, so I'm just walking around with him. He trying to go to doors, open them like he really can run, which he could barely walk, so I knew he couldn't run. But if he got combative and started to fight, I cannot restrain him. I can't do that. That's not in my job description, and that's a liability to me, and I can't do that. So long story short, the nurse comes and say, come on, so-and-so, go back to your room. So he gets up, goes in his room, and he looks at me and tells me I'm irritating him and leave him the blank alone. And all I'm trying to do is my job. So he goes on in the room. The nurse goes back to the nurse's station. Remember I said bed 1 got discharged. Why he go to bed 1, which he was not in, he was in bed 2, sat down in this bed and start using that person's urinal. Okay, I had it. I called the nurse again. The nurse came in there. I called my supervisor, let her know what was going on. Nurse came in there and said he couldn't sit in that bed, what have you, made him go over to the other bed. My supervisor come up there, and at this point I was like, I need to be switched because it's not working out. He's irritated with me, I'm irritated with him. So we go back in the room, and I don't want her in my room. She's a snitch. Call it whatever you want to call it, but the moral of the story is I was irritated because the nurses, the doctors, the techs, whatever you want to call it, failed me. There's only so much I could do, and they literally ignored me so they could have nothing to do with the situation. They didn't care if that man was naked. They didn't care that that man was on the patient that got discharged bed, nothing. All they wanted to be was not bothered by him. So I had to follow him around, chase him around, do all this, and they knew that he was really irritated yesterday, and they didn't care. All they cared about was getting him off that floor. He was supposed to be restrained, medicated, and calmed down. So what they did was basically had me run around with him just so he can get upstairs. They didn't care about the patient. He could have hurt himself, fell because he had a bad knee. They did not care. Yesterday was honestly my worst day working there. I wanted to say deuces, but I couldn't. And I just had to come and talk about it. And it was just so irritating. And then people want to laugh and giggle. My supervisor, yeah, he said he wanted you to leave. This is what she said. He said he wanted you to go because you was a snitch. Laughing. You know, when you're in that situation with someone, it's not funny. So where's the joke? And it's like all she do is she just sit in the office and watch videos. And when you deprive her of that, yeah, she's irritated then. I'm so over yesterday, but I had to get up today and talk about it because I just came home, relaxed, and went to bed because it was just an annoying day. And I'm really trying to think about my options. It could be a rewarding job, but it can also be challenging. But when you have those challenges, they be over the top. And bless his heart, I know he has Alzheimer's, but it's just a matter of dealing with them when they in that frustrated, combative stage, and they're confused. And I just feel the nurses need to be more involved and stop trying to put it off on other people when they don't have jurisdiction on giving medication or the different things that the nurses do. It's like they try to put more on you so they don't have to be bothered. And I just had to come and say that because I just need to find something else because it's getting too much for me. And I just had to come talk about that. I just want to thanks whoever listens, but I just had to, that was just weighed heavy on my heart because I felt they just felt me yesterday. And I'm happy that I ended up getting swapped out the room or whatever, but I didn't like the joke and the playing. That was not a funny situation I was in. Thanks for listening. Until next time. See you.